Good evening, guys. Friday night, little update video, kind of Friday night speech kind of thing. But yeah, tonight, just going to be talking about the shop a little bit about what's going on, what hasn't been going on, what needs to go on, stuff like that. Not only in the shop, but in my own life and in everyone's life, and just things as a whole. So where I want to start off is just where we are right now as a country. Right now it just seems like everything's out of order. Everyone's going in their own direction. Everyone keeps doing their own thing with this COVID, and depending on what state you're in, you got different rules. And if you're in New York City, you got to be vaccinated to do anything. If you're in Florida, you don't have to be vaccinated to do anything. So it's just like two different sides of the spectrum within the same borders, which is kind of unprecedented for our country, which is crazy, but it's the way it is right now. And I just want to tell you guys that God's in control. God's in control of everything. He's in control of the president. He's in control of our finances. He's in control of wars and natural disasters and the tornadoes and hurricanes and the snowstorms and the car crashes and the mistakes. He knows everything, Nothing surprises God. So when I say God's in control, I'm not being ignorant to what's going on. I'm just saying that I'm not worried about it. I'm really not. I'm really not worried about it when it comes down to what's going on. Of course, there's times where it's like you don't understand it or you're trying to figure it out. It just makes no sense. I feel like that all the time, of course. But at the end of the day, I know that whatever happens, God's allowing it to happen. So of course, like, for example, the person in office right now is not everyone's first choice to be president of the United States. But for some reason, God has allowed him to become president. And He allowed him to get away with what he gets away with. And He allows him to make decisions that are detrimental to our country. He allows all that. You might ask why. I don't know why. You don't know why. But God knows why. We could have our speculations. We could say it's because we need to be waking up, or we need to be aware of what's going on, or it's like a warning sign. I don't know. It could be anything. But to be honest, it's like, for me, seeing what God is doing, it's amazing. Because after all this stuff that goes on, the elections and the vaccine mandates and this and that, and coming at you with different rules and regulations, and people telling you can't do this, you can't do that, you have to be this way, you have to be that way. It's like, it'll make your mind explode. It'll make you go crazy. But I have to remember that God's in control of all this. Not one single thing that's happened these past 2 years, or ever happened in eternity, has been outside of God's control. If this bike right next to me fell down on the ground, God knew it was going to happen way before the bike was even made. Way before Kawasaki was even a company. That's how much God knows. Not one single thing in this world is outside of His control. Not one atom, not one cell, not one person, not one storm, not one president. Nothing is out of God's control. And that brings me so much comfort, because I know if everything just collapsed right now and the whole world just fell apart, I would still have comfort knowing that God is on His throne. And He's still in control. And He will always be in control, and He always has been in control. So we have to wake up and realize that this worrying and this tension that we're causing ourselves, and this idea that we need to get these things fixed and they need to be changed now, and it's only, we only got 2 more years and the midterms are coming up, and we need this person in office, and we have to get this done, we have to get that done. No, we don't. We can't put it all on ourselves. Because if God doesn't want person A to be in office, guess what? They're not going to be in office. If it's not in his plan for person A to get into office, or object C to happen, or this or that, if it's not in his plan, and if he has not already seen it through, it's not going to happen. That's what so many people don't understand. They think they could just will things into existence. Like, please, I need this president in office. I need to get this on this. I need this job. I need this to be healed. I need this to be done. If it's not in God's will, I'm sorry, it's not going to be done. And I'm sorry that I'm yelling and upset with this, but there are so many people just leaning on like hope. Hopefully someone gets into office. Hopefully this changes. Hopefully that changes. But we're not realizing that God already sees who's going to be in office. He already sees what mandates are coming. He already sees who's going to fall into sin. He already sees who's going to make mistakes, who's not going to, who's going to follow him, who's not going to follow him, who's going to accept him as his Savior, and who's not going to. He knows. But that doesn't mean we don't have a role. It's great to fight for life. It's great to fight against these vaccine mandates. I encourage it. I encourage you getting out and being an activist for our beliefs and our rights. But if it doesn't work out the way we look at it and the way we want it to, it doesn't mean that God isn't in control of it. Just think about how many people through COVID have come to learn about Christ because they have been living their lives a certain way for so long, and all of a sudden everything got flipped around, and they're like, wait a second, my 9-to-5 lifestyle, my work until I drop lifestyle isn't the right way to go about this. There's something else in life. There's church. I have a family. I have a wife. I have a husband. You mean life isn't all about the job? You mean life isn't all about the paycheck I get at the end of the week? That was a realization for so many people in March of 2020. They realized, wait a second, without my job, my life sucks. And they went to drinking. And they went to pornography. And they went to drugs. And they went to this and they went to that. They went to extremes trying to fill that void that their job filled in their life. And they couldn't find it. Why? Why couldn't they find it? It's because they neglected the value of life for so long that in order to find value in life, they had to go to extreme means. Things that are destroying them. Drugs, alcohol, sex. Just these disgusting things that might bring you pleasure for a short amount of time, but destroy you from the inside out. You might not be able to tell someone's a drunk. You might not be able to tell that someone's addicted to a drug or to a substance. You might not be able to tell that someone is a sex addict from the outside, but on the inside, they are hurting. And they're looking for these things in the wrong places, and unfortunately, some people just never find that joy they're looking for. And they end up taking their own life. And that has happened all too often these past couple of years because of people not realizing that change happens, and people not realizing that just because something's not normal doesn't mean you gotta end your whole life. Not one of us since March can say that our life isn't different. You know, I before the pandemic, I had my own view of life, right? I had my own view of what I thought life was, and what success was, and what the whole 9 yards, right? I had my own view of what I thought it was and what I thought it should be, and oh my goodness, did God flip that around so quickly that I couldn't even blink. Because I was living this lifestyle of the common man, thinking that, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. It's just fill in the blanks. You gotta this. You got it? Boom, check the box. Next one, check the box, check the box. And you just live your whole life checking boxes until there's no more boxes to check. And then you're like, wait a second, my whole life was just a bunch of tasks. Telling me that I was going to find happiness through those things, but never actually finding it. So I just lived my whole life searching for something that didn't exist. And ask yourself that question. It's like, I'm sorry, I know this is some deep stuff, but it's like, I say this a lot, and people don't really understand it sometimes, but I say that prior to our modern lifestyle that we live now, people used to work in order to supply their livelihood, in order to supply food for the table, in order to supply a house. People used to work in order to live. And unfortunately, our society has pushed it to like crazy extremes where people now live to work. Their life is their job. That's scary. And their job is their life. That's all they have. So what I'm saying is when people lost their job and when they they got fired or laid off or budget cuts came in for COVID and they didn't have a job anymore, they're like, wait a second, what is life? Why do we do this? Why do we all run this same little course of this little train of success where it's just like check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark? It's like, no, we can't do that anymore. And what I realize is that life is more valuable than just a job. It's more valuable than just a paycheck. It's more valuable than what your bank account says. All that's good and all that can help you, but if you're searching after money your whole life, you're never going to find success. If you're searching after possessions your whole life, you're never going to be content. You're never going to find joy. You're never going to find happiness. You'll never have the pleasure that God can offer because you're always searching after the next thing. And that's the way the devil works. He tells you that you don't have enough. He tells you you could use this. He tells you your life would be so much better if only you did this, if only you had that, if only you dabbled into this, if only you tried this out, your life would be 10,000 times better than it is right now. And the devil always wants you to think that you don't have enough. He always wants you to want something more. And oftentimes it's not wanting something good. He's not wanting you to go to church. He's not wanting you to spread the gospel. He's not longing for you to preach. He's not longing for you to read your word. He's often longing for you to watch pornography, or longing for you to pick up the bottle, or longing for you to go to the nightclub, or longing for you to try that substance, or do that, or hang out with that person you shouldn't be hanging out with. Because if you did, your life would be so much better if you had that one person in your life. If you added this into your life. If you did this, if you did that, your life would be so much better. And the fact is, that's the way he lies to us. He always tells us that what we have now is not enough. He always wants us to reach after that next thing. And unfortunately, sometimes he does it with deception. Sometimes it could just be like our job. Like he'll say, "Oh, you gotta make more money. You need the money. You gotta get that next job. You gotta get the higher level of the job. Don't worry about your family. They'll still be there for you. Work 70 hours a week, even though you can pay your bills. You need the new car, don't you? Come on, the new Corvette came out. Don't you want that?" And you're thinking to yourself, well, the Lord has provided so much for me. I already have a car. I have a nice house. I have a wife. I have children. I have all these things. But wait a second, I don't have that new car. Maybe my life would be better if I just worked a little bit more and got a little bit more money for that car. That's the way. There you go, man. Now just start working more. And that's the devil talking to you. Start working more. Soon enough, you're working more, right? You're putting in that 70 hours a week, even though you're making six figures already, right? And you're working more and more and more, and you see your wife, and she's taking on all the burdens. She's taking care of the kids and taking care of the house and taking care of the family, and you're, working your butt off over here, 70, 80 hours a week. Why? You're forgetting about your wife. You're forgetting about your kids. You're forgetting about your family. You're forgetting about all the blessings God has given you, because the devil has deceived you into thinking you need that one more thing. He's deceived you into thinking, if only you had that car, you'd be so much happier. And you'd have so much more joy if you just had the new model, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you be happier if you had the new model? And he'll tell you that until he absolutely destroys your life getting you to that point. Sure, you might get that new car, but your wife could be gone. Your children could want nothing to do with you. Your family might not even recognize you anymore. And unfortunately, so many people got caught up in that. And that's when the COVID strike, the pandemic, everything shut down came in. And it's like, wait a second. I can't work 80 hours a week anymore. I can't get the bonus that I used to get anymore. I'm not making six figures anymore. And wait a second, who are they? Is that my wife? I have kids? And people were forced to make that choice. It wasn't even a choice anymore. They were forced into a situation that they were uncomfortable with. Having a family. Because they got so caught up in living for their work. Work was their only thing. Work was their life, and their life was their work. That's all it was. That's all it is. But like I'm saying before, hundreds of years ago, people just worked in order to just provide life for them and their family. Not to lavish this, lavish that, oh, best this, best that. And soon enough, you don't even get to enjoy those things that you worked for because you're working so much. But God has showed us that when we start striving after all these things and making them our idols, like, take this flashlight. Take this flashlight, for example. Say you paid $20 for it, right? Lights up. It works, obviously. But a new one came out, right? It's only $25. But this one, it works. Head swivels. Battery's charged. Battery comes out. It's got a nice grip. It's got a place for a little hook too. But no, the new one. Oh, the new one's got built-in hook, right? You gotta have the built-in hook. 2 different lighting settings. Imagine that. Does it work? It works too. It's got a battery, right? Battery's charged. A nice grip. What are these? They're both flashlights. They both work. One works a little bit better than the other. This one's $75. This one's $20. You already have this flashlight, right? It works. And you don't have money for the new one. But the new one looks so much better, right? It's got the swivel head, right? Swiveling head, oh yeah, you can hook it up. Think about that, you can hook it up and work on your car. No problem, right? But you don't have the money for that. You're barely getting food on the table, right? You're barely paying the mortgage, you're barely paying the taxes. But that flashlight has become your idol. I need the new model because it has different light settings. It has changeable, exchangeable head, all this kind of stuff. Oh, you can, accept a bigger battery. All these things trying to convince you to get it, right? But then you got to think back to yourself, wait a second, I already have a flashlight that works perfectly fine. And it lights the room just as well as the other one. So you get to that point, it's like, where's God? Where's your family? How is a flashlight gonna put food on the table? How is a flashlight gonna pay your mortgage at the end of the month? How is it gonna pay your health insurance? And the answer is it's not. It's because the devil takes something in your heart and he expands it so big. He's like, for example, there's nothing wrong with wanting a new flashlight. There's nothing wrong with wanting a new car. But when that becomes your idol and all you think about is what you need to do in order to get that flashlight, that car, that bike, that phone, all of your thought, 100% of your thought is on, I need to work for it. I need to put in more hours. I need to do this. I need to do that. Think about that for a second. You would have absolutely nothing if it wasn't for God providing for you the job, the family, the house, the first flashlight. But yet it's not enough, right? It's not enough. I need more. At what point are we going to be content with what we have? Is there ever a point where we are content with what we have? Because we have a lot more, a ton more, than the majority of people will ever see on this earth. And we are blessed to live in America. We live in a free country where I'm able to make a video like this without getting killed. And I'm able to speak the truth. And I'm able to talk about God. And I'm able to ride motorcycles. And I'm able to use tools and make these kind of videos with tool reviews. And I'm able to go out and go to school and go to college. I'm in college, right? And I've been blessed with a scholarship to go to college from my school. And granted, I put a lot of work in to get to that point. But I've been blessed to get a scholarship. And the fact is, like, at the end of the day, I still sit down and say, it's not it. I need something more. And it distracts me from God because I'm not realizing what God has already done for me. There'll be times where you want something so bad that you start to forget everything God has already given to you. I'm not even talking about material things at this point. Material things have their place. But talk about me for example. God's given me breath. I'm able to breathe. God's given me clothing. He's given me the light, right? The camera I'm recording on right now. The motorcycles. My family. He's given me His Word. The Bible, which is the truth. And He's given me all these things. And at the end of the day, I still don't think I have enough. And that's where the devil wants you. He wants you at a point where you're always striving after the next thing. And I'm not saying striving after something is wrong. Of course it's not. But oftentimes, when the devil wants you to strive after something, it's either not good, or he'll make you go down some not good paths to get there. If I didn't have the money to get that new flashlight, and I needed it, and it was the only thing I thought about, you're positive. You better be positive that I would probably have to do something different, probably not good, in order to get the money to buy this. Because my job only provides enough money to get food on that table, right? And my job only provides enough money to pay for the bills and all that kind of stuff. So what magical thing is going to change in your life where you're automatically going to find some more money to afford a flashlight that you can't afford? Chances are, you're not. You might have to make a huge sacrifice. Like completely ignoring your family for a week just so you can afford that. Or doing some not so good things in order to get that money. or being dishonest, or cheating on something in order to make that extra buck, right? And is that where God wants you? Absolutely not. He wants us to be honest. He wants us to be faithful. He wants us to be truthful in our actions and the way we treat people, and in our transactions, and in our purchases, and in our finances, and in everything. He wants us to be faithful and truthful and just, as if he were watching us do every single thing. And think about that for a second, guys. If you knew, which he is, if you knew that God was watching every single thing you did, I bet you'd fix a lot of stuff in your life. And the fact is, God has his eyes over you all the time. And so I started the video off with the sovereignty of God, and it's not just over the world, it's over you. And God can see every single thing you're doing, the good things, the bad things, the mistakes, the deeds, the things you wouldn't even want your family to see. He sees. And the fact that we're more scared of our parents or our friends finding out we're doing something wrong rather than God is very convicting, right? But it's not only convicting, it shows that we have valued people's opinions over God's opinion. And that we've gotten to that point where we'll go by extreme means to get this flashlight just so we could show people that we have the money to afford it. Or we go to extreme means to get that new Corvette, or to get that new house, or to get that new thing, just so we can show people that we're successful. Right? I'm successful. Oh, whew, I got the flashlight, right? Look at me. How is that pointing back to God at all? It's really not. And that just shows, it's like, are you living your life to glorify God, or are you living your life to glorify man? Because there's no in between. It's clear cut down the middle. We have life and man, and we have God. And if you're living your life to glorify man, you're forgetting who God is. Because God has given you everything. So you want to pay that back to him and say, God, thank you so much for giving me all these things. And thank you for giving me my Savior, Jesus Christ, as we celebrate Christmas. Thank you for giving him to me to pay for my sins. Now I want to glorify you with what I do. Thank you for the finances. I'm going to glorify you with my finances. I'm going to glorify you with my skills. Not man. I don't want to glorify man. I don't serve man. I serve God. So if you have to make sacrifices with God in order to please man, you better cut that out right now. You better change what you're doing right now. And you have to put God first. And I'm not just saying this to you guys, I'm saying this to me because I'm the only one in here right now. I'm the only one in this garage. I'm talking to a camera and I'm telling you what I'm thinking, right? That's how these videos work. We spend so much time in our lives just trying to get the best, just to show man what we've done. But what if we just took into account what God has already given us and honor and glorify him with the things he has given us and the things he will give us? Not material things, guys. I'm not talking about material. I'm talking about things, the intangibles. The things that we can't write down on paper. And material things on top of that, because those are superficial, but they also help us. Think about that, guys. Serve God with what you've given. Don't serve man. Because God's given us all. God is our all in all. And we need to glorify God with our actions, our deeds, our words, our conversations. Everything needs to be glorifying to God, not to man, because the moment we glorify man, we forget about God. And we start serving man over God. And we are split. And we cannot figure out who is our God, because at that point, man becomes your God. So flip that around, guys. Think about what you're doing on the inside. Think about it. Serve God with your actions. Serve God with your transactions, with your finances, with your conversations. Serve God with everything because he has given you everything. So let's just give him a little bit of respect. So thanks for watching, guys. I know it's a long video. I hope you like it. But checking that timer out. We're running out of time here. And it's a different tone video. I know you guys notice that a lot, but I'm very serious because there are things in our life that we need to figure out. We got to keep moving on and stop making the same mistakes. So thanks for watching, guys. God bless. Keep us in your prayers. Check out my other videos on tools, which are pretty cool. Have a great day. Merry Christmas.